My name is Shyla. This is for Chemistry 1406, Lab 4. This is the second portion because this lab consists of 12 activities, but this video is going to be for the last 4, 9 through 12. I was counting on my fingers. So for activity 9, it consisted of hydrochloric acid and a 0.5 centimeters of magnesium ribbon. So for this one, I put the hydrochloric acid in a tube, and then after that, I placed the magnesium ribbon inside, and the magnesium ribbon started to bubble and sizzle, and it stayed at the top floating, and then all of a sudden, it was gone. Eventually, I think I remember. It disappeared, and also the temperature increased, and so that was a chemical reaction. It definitely is irreversible, but that was pretty cool. For activity 10, it consisted of copper 2 sulfate and sodium chloride, which is table salt. So with that one, what I did was I mixed, I poured the copper sulfate in with the salt, and the salt turned green. The temperature increased. The salt was at the bottom. Still, it did not like dissolve together. It just turned green. It's because the copper sulfate is blue, and whenever it got in with the salt, it turned green. It was a physical change because the sodium chloride is solubilized in the sodium. The copper sulfate. Sorry, I've been doing so many of these things. But yeah, that was the physical change. And so for the activity 11, I had to cut up several pieces of aluminum. I did it was like 1 centimeter by a half centimeter each. And I had copper sulfate, and what I did was I added the aluminum inside the copper sulfate, and actually I used the solution from activity 10. It was the copper sulfate and the salt mixed, and then I put the aluminum inside there. And so what happened was the aluminum, of course, was silver, and the copper sulfate and salt was the blue-green. So the solution started bubbling and sizzling, and it produced heat. And the aluminum enlarged, it combined together, and it turned like a maroon color, and also the temperature increased. So the ending color was like a blue, green, gray water, and then the aluminum was like a maroon color. So that was pretty cool, and that was a chemical reaction. It was definitely irreversible. That's not coming. It's not going to be in the same state. So last but not least, activity 12. It was copper sulfate and sandpaper with a nail, which is of iron, of course. So I put the copper sulfate in a test tube, and so I had some sandpaper, and I sand the outside of the nail with the sandpaper very gently, and then I placed the nail inside of the copper sulfate, and guess what? It turned into a copper color, and I figured that was going to happen, and it was cool that I figured that was going to happen, and that's what happened. And the temperature slightly increased as well. So that was cool. It was a chemical reaction. It was irreversible. Pretty cool activities. Need more like these. All right. And I also have some data tables to show so I did some pre-laboratory question and answers. Let me turn it